Howdy, my name is Gerard. I'm an 81-year-old retired gambler from Montreal. And if you play cards and gamble, and you're tired of losing, you need to look at the two videos that I've made from a cassette recorded over 40 years ago, which should teach you how to spot a card cheat sitting at your table. It could save you a lot of money. There's over 50 different professional card cheat moves on these two videos, and each move at a normal speed and in slow motion takes about 2 to 3 minutes. I want you to look at a couple of these moves from volume 1 and a couple more from volume 2, which should give you an idea of what to expect from these videos. And remember that a card cheat sitting at your table does not need to be dealing cards to beat your hand.
Nullifying the cut has always been the biggest obstacle of any card cheater. Let's first take a look at some techniques known as shifts and hops. Let's begin with the shift. Let's say the cards have been stacked and fall shuffled. The stacked cards are represented by the 4 aces, and although the cards were apparently cut, a shift was executed and the deck was restored to its original position. Remember, the aces represent the stacked cards. They are legitimately cut to the center of the deck, and then the entire shift can be executed in less than a second. This is one of the fastest moves possible with a deck of cards. This face-up demonstration will give you an idea of just how quickly the move can be accomplished. Once again, the ace is cut to the center, the deck is shifted, and the ace is brought back to its original position. Here's an exposed view at normal speed. The bottom half, as you can see, is stepped to one side, enabling the dealer to locate the spot where the cards must be shifted. Finally, we'll take a look at this move in slow motion. A step will be formed as the cards are picked up. The right hand will form a break and helps cover the move. The left fingers will recut the deck and restore the deck back to its original order. Once again, this move takes just a split second. There are many types of hops used to nullify the cut. This one that you're about to see is one of the most common. It's during this sliding action that the hop is executed and the deck is brought back to its original order. Here we view the same hop from a top view. Only a skilled cheater would attempt one of these moves, as they require a great deal of skill and nerve. Let's now take a look at the expose. The cards once again are legitimately cut, but then both halves of the deck are hopped and transposed. These moves show why you should never take your eyes off the cards as the cards are cut. Here's another variation. Watch closely and see if you can detect the action. This technique is very similar to the last move. No matter how well a cheater can fall shuffle or stack a deck of cards, he has gained nothing unless he has a technique used to nullify the cut. This is why so many ingenious techniques have been devised to restore the deck's original order. A slow motion expose clearly shows the action. It's the fingers of the right hand that actually shift the halves. Then, under the natural action of squaring up the pack, the shift is completed. Let's now take a look at one final example. It is not uncommon to find players who slide halves off the table to complete the cut. These are the actions cheaters are trying to duplicate with this particular hop. Here it is once again. The cards are legitimately cut, and then during the sliding action, the technique is executed. Cheaters will complete the cut legitimately many times with the same actions before ever attempting this move. Although these techniques are bold, used only once or twice in an evening's play where a hop or shift is needed for that big hand, are just what these techniques are used for. Let's now take a look at some false cuts used to nullify the cut, and this time with the help of a partner. The original stacked cards have been restored. Hops and shifts are no longer needed when a dealer has a partner sitting to the right to help bring the deck back to its original order. This technique is exceptionally clean from all angles. And what actually takes place here is only visible from the dealer and the dealer's partner's point of view. During an overhand shuffle, one card is left stepped or outjogged. This becomes an easy target for the dealer's partner to cut to. Now we take a look at a technique called a scrape cut. Once again, the dealer and this player are working in collusion. Although it appears that the cards were cut, the deck's original order has been restored. Let's take a closer look. This is one of the most deceiving false cuts that I know of. What's actually taking place here is not a cut at all, but a complete fake. A closer look in slow motion will expose the action clearly. The top half is simply taken and slapped back on top. It's the scraping and turning action of the hand that duplicates a fair cut and makes the technique convincing. One last time at regular speed. A crimp is a bent card or cards used to help nullify the cut. Let's begin by observing some of the techniques used to hold out cards. In our first scenario, a technique called the gambler's palm is used to help nullify the cut. Notice that the deck is legitimately cut and carried, yet the aces are still under control. The aces were being held out and concealed in the left hand during the cutting action. Where a shift or hop maintains the entire deck's order, the gambler's palm controls a few cards and is frequently used just before the bottom deal. Let's expose the gambler's palm. For the demonstration, the aces start on top and are individually shuffled to the bottom where a break is held. A small squaring action positions the cards just far enough back in the hand to stay hidden from all players. The cut is carried and the deck placed back on top of the aces to complete. Here's another palming technique that's used to control only one card. Watch the joker, or bug as it's frequently called. After the shuffles, the cards are legitimately cut and carried, yet the joker stays on top. Never underestimate how strong the complete control of one card is. There are many head-to-head games where the dealer will hold out one bad card with this technique and then deal it to his opponent to begin the hand. Here's the expose. After a couple of false shuffles, we'll move to slow motion to expose the palming action. The hands come to a resting position with the joker safely concealed. The joker is simply added to the new top half of the deck as the cut is completed. Here's another application of the top palm. The game is Clob or Clubby Ash, a rummy-type game played with 32 cards. Each player starts off with 6 cards dealt in groups of 3. Here, the palming technique has enabled the dealer to steal 1 extra card. The game is unique because after some bidding, each player receives an additional 3 cards before the hand actually begins. This provides the opportunity to make an easy cleanup, as the dealer deals only 2 instead of the required 3. Let's watch the palming action, which immediately follows the first part of the deal. Notice that even though the extra card is held out in the right hand, the same hand is used to turn over the top card and table the deck. The card is added to the dealer's hand to start him out with 1 extra card. At this point, a subtle false dealing action cleans up the move and gets everything back to normal. The dealer simply takes 2 cards instead of 3. Here's a series of holdout moves that are called cops. This move takes just a second and is executed during the cutting action. This is a good example of how a player can steal and hold out a card even though he's not dealing. In slow motion, you'll see the technique exposed. The player cops a card in the same time it takes to simply cut the deck. Here's another cop along the same lines. You presented the deck to an opponent to cut. He gives the cards a quick shuffle and then cuts. It's during this shuffling action that he steals a card. In games played for any significant amounts of money, it's common to see the player shuffle after the dealer. This move blends right in. Our expose clearly exposes the technique. Cards are brought off the table for an in-the-hands riffle shuffle. The cop takes place during the shuffle and squaring action. This time, watch the ace of clubs. This player is about to throw his hand away. As you can see, the ace was copped from play. This move is extremely easy and can be applied to many card games. Anytime a card is copped and held out from play, the intention is to switch it back in at the most profitable time, when the cheater needs that extra edge to ensure a win. The expose clearly shows how the left thumb does all the dirty work at the exact moment the hand is tossed away. Here's the same situation, different cop. If you've gambled for any length of time, then you've probably run into a player shuffling the cards in this fashion. These actions provide the cover for a very deceptive steal. Always remember, as you view these moves, you're only watching a close-up of the hands and cards, and not the many distractions that take place during the typical card game. The desired card, the ace of clubs, is immediately shuffled into the palm position. A few more shuffles, one last peek at the hand, and the cop is completed. The mechanical holdouts are one answer to the question, what does a cheater do with a card?
If you are interested in these 2 videos with over 50 different professional card cheat moves, they're $25 a video, or both of them for $40.